Alright, so I just threw 20 programming languages into a randomizer, and I'm going to rank 10 random ones as they pops up. No preparation, just my raw, honest take. And in case this concept is new to you, S tier means elite. These are the languages goated in my opinion. A tier is excellent. B tier is solid, but maybe more competitive. C tier, good for specific niches, but you better know what you're doing. And D tier, look, they're not dead, but you need a really good reason to pick these in 2026. Now I've literally randomized these 20 languages, so we're going in whatever order the chaos gods decide. Ready? Let's spin it. Alright, the first victim is JavaScript. What an awesome start. If you want to do web development, you're learning JavaScript, period. It runs in every browser. It's on the front end with React, Vue, and Angular. It's on the back end with Node. You can even build mobile apps with React Native. JavaScript is literally unavoidable. Look, the JavaScript job market is huge, probably the most job listings of any language, but it's also super competitive. Everyone's learning JavaScript. Major companies like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Netflix, they're all heavy JavaScript shops now. But if you're learning JS in 2026, you need to learn TypeScript too, and you need to stand out with solid projects and framework knowledge. The ecosystem moves fast. There's always new frameworks and tools, which means constant learning but also constant opportunity. This would have been S tier without question, essential, versatile, huge demand. But know that you're entering a rat race within a rat race, so I have to drop it down to A tier. Alright, spinning again. And we got Kotlin. Now this is interesting. Google made Kotlin the preferred language for Android development back in 2019, and by 2026, it's basically the standard. If you're doing Android development and you're still using Java, you're kind of like that person still using Internet Explorer. It works, but why? Kotlin is cleaner, more modern, and has null safety built in, which means you avoid entire categories of bugs that plague Java Android apps. The language has features like coroutines for handling async code that make it way more pleasant to work with than old-school Java callbacks. The job market is solid. Every company with an Android app needs Kotlin devs, but here's the catch. You're pretty much locked into the Android ecosystem. You're not building iOS apps with this. It's a specialist language. But if mobile dev is your path and you want to focus on Android, companies like Netflix, Pinterest, Uber, and thousands of others maintain major Android apps that need Kotlin developers. I'm putting this in B tier. Very good for what it does, but it's not as versatile as top-tier languages. Alright, 2 down, 8 to go. And the next one is C#, Microsoft's powerhouse. Unity game development, one of the biggest engines out there, and it uses C#. I've tinkered with both Unreal Engine and Unity for some fun personal projects. And let me tell you, C# is by far a lot more comfortable. On the enterprise side, Microsoft shops love C# for building business applications, and ASP.NET Core is actually a really solid web framework. The job market is strong, especially if you're into game dev or Microsoft ecosystem work. So yeah, A tier. Excellent language with clear career paths. Okay, let's do the fourth spin now. Dart, Flutter's language for cross-platform mobile dev. Build one app for iOS and Android with a single codebase. That's the promise, and Flutter actually delivers on it pretty well. Companies like Alibaba, BMW, and Google use Flutter for some of their apps. Growing but still niche compared to native development. If you want cross-platform and don't want to deal with React Native's JavaScript quirks, I didn't really invest a lot of time into Dart. I mean, it's solid, but I have to put it in C tier. It's useful for specific use cases, but not mainstream as far as I know. But before we move on to the next language, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Scrimba. Scrimba is not just another code learning platform. They have reinvented the learning experience by merging the video tutorial and the IDE. Crazy, right? Welcome to Scrims, interactive screencasts where you can pause the teacher and literally edit their code in the video directly. Whether you want to become a back-end Chad, a full-stack legend, an AI wizard, or God forbid, a front-end chud, Scrimba has got your back. They offer full-blown career paths for each of these, with structured courses, real projects, and tips that go beyond dull technical stuff. We're talking real-world advice, things like how to act in job interviews, how to pass code reviews, or even how to LinkedIn your way into a job. Oh, and the neat part? They have a lot of courses for free, like how to deploy AI apps with Cloudflare or how to build and deploy your portfolio so you can test them out before upgrading to a paid plan. And you can use my link in the description to get yourself 20% from the Pro plan. So hey, why not choose the annual plan for even bigger savings? Happy coding, fellow code heads. Spinning up again. Swift, Apple's baby. If you want to build iOS or macOS app, there are no two ways about it. You're learning Swift, there's no alternative anymore since Apple basically retired Objective-C. Now here's the thing about Swift. Apple's ecosystem is incredibly lucrative.
Hello! I like money.
iPhone users spend more money on apps, and companies pay premium to have iOS apps built, but you're locked into Apple's world. It's specialist work. The demand is steady. Every major company wants an iOS app, but it's not as massive as web dev roles. You're looking at companies like Airbnb, Lyft, LinkedIn, all maintaining significant iOS applications. Also, you're at the mercy of Apple's decisions and policies. When Apple changes something in their ecosystem, you either adapt or you're out of a job. That said, if you like the Apple ecosystem and want a stable, well-paying niche, Swift is excellent. The language itself is actually really well designed. It's modern, it's safe, and the dev experience with Xcode has improved a lot over the years. I'm putting this in B tier. Very good for what it does, solid career path, but limited to one ecosystem. All right, another spin. Oh boy. COBOL just came up. Look, there's a meme in the dev community that COBOL devs make ridiculous money because all these banking systems from the 70s still run on it and nobody knows how to maintain them. And that's partially true. After the Y2K panic, and then again during the pandemic when unemployment systems were crashing, states were paying serious money for COBOL contractors. But, and this is crucial, you're signing up to maintain code that's literally older than the internet itself, work on systems where a single bug could freeze millions in transactions, and your coworkers are probably all approaching retirement. In 2026, is this a path? Only if you're okay with maintenance work, government or banking clients, and being one of the last humans keeping financial infrastructure from the Nixon administration running. This is D tier. Eventually, these systems will be replaced, and when they are COBOL developers, will have nowhere to go. Next one in the list is Perl. All right. Before the Perl devs bring out their pitchforks in the comments.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
I respect Perl. It powered the early internet. It's still doing text processing better than most languages. But, and this is a big but, in 2026 we're looking at a language where the average developer age is probably 45 plus. New projects using Perl are virtually extinct, and Python has basically eaten its lunch in every category. Can you make 6 figures maintaining Perl systems? Absolutely. Is this where you want to start your career in 2026? Probably not. According to various developer surveys, Perl consistently ranks in the bottom. This is going straight to D tier, not because it's bad, but because the future just isn't there for new devs.
Future's now, old man.
Next one is Scala. Okay, this is an interesting one. When you say Scala, you say big data with Apache Spark. It's a smart language that runs on the JVM, combines object-oriented and functional programming. If you're doing big data work with Spark, you'll encounter Scala. But the job market is small and specialized. High pay, but limited opportunities. So yeah, C tier. Good if you know that's your path, but risky otherwise. Okay, 2 left. We've got R. Okay, another data language. R used to run the data science and statistics field, but Python is eating its lunch now. Libraries like Pandas and scikit-learn does it better now and gives you way more versatility.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
The R job market exists, but it's shrinking as Python takes over. So this one is going to D tier. Sorry to every grandpa watching right now. All right, last spin today, and we got Java. Damn, what a language to end on. The enterprise workhorse itself. Look, Java isn't trendy. It's not what startups are using for their new projects. But in 2026, Java is still absolutely massive. The Spring framework is industry standard for enterprise backends. It's mature, it's stable, and there's decades of best practices built up around it. Look, the job market for Java is enormous. Yes, you'll probably end up working at a big corporation rather than a cool startup that rents a villa with a pool and makes team lunches every Friday. Yes, the tech stack might feel a bit dated compared to newer languages, but if you want stability, tons of jobs, and a career that will last decades, Java absolutely delivers. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that I love Java. So yeah, this is S tier for me. So that's my rankings, and I'm curious, which of these rankings made you want to fight me in the comments? Did I do your favorite language dirty? Let me know below, and if you want me to cover the rest of the languages also, let me know below. This was Codehead with yet another tech rant. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Lights out.